Welcome back to the Seraphine podcast. I am Seraphine Arocha, and you are probably watching us on my YouTube channel or listening to us on Spotify or iHeartRadio or Apple iTunes. I'm so happy you're here. Today, me and Chelsea Atia are back in the saddle, the Real Housewives saddle, and we are talking about part 1 of the reunion.
I was just thinking recently about the seasons are so long and how much has changed from the first review we did of episode 1 to now. I mean, when the season started, we didn't know about Erica's troubles. It was all good.
Yeah.
And the drama was based on Crystal and Sutton's riffs. But now we're in the reunion and so much has changed. It feels like it's been years. So I'm excited to dive in.
It really is interesting to do these episodes, especially with you, because, you know, I mean, we see each other on the weekly basis and, you know, our friendship has evolved in the last year through working together. And it's so interesting to see how, if you are in a situation where you have to intermingle with people, how you gravitate to each other and how you pull apart.
Yeah.
You know, and there are people who who really click. And the people who really clicked this season was not people that I expected.
Right. And it changed.
It really did. Garcelle, Sutton, and not Chelsea, Crystal.
Yeah.
Became kind of the Three Musketeers.
They did, because the other 4 were always very close, and Garcelle has mentioned a few times how she felt like there was a circle inside their group of people of that they kind of felt left out of. I think Garcelle felt it the most.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, when you're in a group of women, I think it's really interesting when you're, I don't know, you're in situations to where you're one-on-one and then you're in these big groups and then the group starts to splinter off, you know, and friendships obviously should be different. I mean, I think that they don't always everyone doesn't always have to get along.
Right.
But this season was really hard sometimes to watch because there are certain people on the cast that I've always really liked.
Yeah.
And I saw sides of them that, you know, were new to me. Like I've always been a Dorit fan.
Yeah.
And with this first part of the reunion, I really wish that she would have handled herself better.
Yeah. So far, what I'm seeing, just this episode was heavily circulating the Garcelle and Dorit and Garcelle and Renna situation. I didn't think anyone showed their best sides.
You're right. No one really did show their best sides. Everyone was on edge, and
they were ready to go.
They really were, but they were also like waiting for the first one to fire.
Yeah.
You know, and I think everyone was waiting for the shoe to drop because they knew the atomic bomb was going to be Erica.
Right.
And I think that, you know, it's like when you get caught stirring the pot.
Yeah.
And you know, in the reunion, they have receipts because they have clips from the episodes.
They've all watched the episodes, and the real juice is when they do their sit downs and their confessionals. And that's when they all get really offended and really pissed off because they're like, you acted this way in front of me and then you say this behind my back. But what I don't want to miss out on, can we talk about their fashion real quick?
Oh, let's start out the gate with fashion. It's a little mismatched. Usually,
I didn't understand it.
I didn't either. And it's funny because a lot of times, like the Jersey housewives are really good about coordinating their fashion.
Well, they pick out their outfits. Like the crew for Bravo picks out, they all bring us in a rack of dresses, and then they kind of pull the dresses that are going to go with each other. This one, I felt like it was so not coordinated.
I don't either. I agree with you. I don't see any rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
It feels like everything was disjointed. So let's start out first with Rinna.
Okay.
So Rinna was in this purple leopard dress.
Yes.
It actually reminded me, and I think I've got to look because I was looking up this fashion designer. It's not one that I'm very familiar with, but big Instagram, and I can't remember it right off the bat. It looked very similar to the print and style of the dresses that Kyle and Erica wore to Chinese New Year, except it was purple. They both had that like leopard, like embossed fabric.
They did.
Rinna's body is out of control.
It's crazy.
And I think the single color, I think that's very Kardashian-like.
It was. Her style is evolving to be more Kardashian. I liked I thought she looked cool.
Yeah.
I love that she's trying different stuff with her hair. We've talked about it before, but I like the
ponytail.
Her face is beautiful. The lips still get me sometimes, but she looked great. I liked her look.
She did. I thought it was a little more on the casual reunion side, even though it was all on. I'm used to such big over the top looks. But I liked it. I didn't
think anyone was super, except for Dorit.
Dorit basically wore a wedding dress. It was like, to me, it was like the part 2 of your wedding.
Yeah.
Because it was Necateria, right?
Yeah. It was like her ready to wear side. I thought she looked great too.
She did. She's stunning, and her hair looked good. It wasn't any kind of weird like.
It was pretty much
Baby
like
Spice pigtails.
Speaking of weird hair,
Kyle.
what was Kyle doing?
Oh, I don't know.
And her like dress
the
with
keyhole
with the boobs.
Yeah, it was a look. Look. You know, I have to say it reminded me a lot, and I'd like to get a side by side of this. I think it's Delia from Beetlejuice.
Yes.
I mean, it was very.
Her hair was very like
PC,
really PC.
Up on top of her head.
I'm wondering if it was like an ode to her Halloween.
It might have been. It might have been.
Movie that's coming out.
It might have been. Yeah, and I actually don't mind her taking like a risk.
Yeah.
It wasn't my favorite look on her, but I like Kyle because she doesn't like she's tried some looks this season.
She has definitely stepped out of the box, and I do appreciate that. And I think that she's looking better and better every season. I just didn't love the hair.
No.
But I do appreciate her trying something different because she normally has her long curls. I have to say, Garcelle's face is so beautiful. Her skin is unreal. Like you could see, they did like a close up of her face, and then they showed a close up. Not to compare anyone, but I just noticed like I think it was either Lisa Rinna or Dorit, and they have like their pores looked bigger compared. Like Garcelle's face is like porcelain.
She is just taken care of herself in so many ways.
She looked beautiful.
Always, I mean, honestly, even when she goes a little crazy with her outfits, like for instance, when she wore that night before Christmas, like tuxedo with the top knot earlier in the season, you know, again, it was cartoonish, not my vibe, because I think she's I like when she plays up a little bit more of the exoticness in her.
Yeah, me too.
Because her looks are just so unique. I mean, they're beautiful. I mean, her cheekbones, her eyes. So when she goes for that above and beyond, you know, like where is she from kind of look, and plays to her heritage, I love it.
Me too.
I love it.
Me
it's
too.
Gorgeous. So we've got who else? Kathy.
Kathy
actually, Kathy to me dresses her age, her quirkiness. I think she looked nice.
I do too.
It wasn't like going down in history of like the best dresses.
It wasn't standout, but it was appropriate. She wasn't a main character anyways. I mean, in my eyes, she was the main character because I thought she added so much interest to the season. But she wasn't a main character, and I think she knew that. Sutton looked great.
Sutton looked on point.
She did, and she's
really
loving dating. She said she's really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And then Crystal looked good too. I really like Crystal a lot, and they said both of them said that their friends said that they're a lot more alike than they think, and Crystal said, I have had people say that too. I love that they're coming together. The last one is Erica.
Let's talk about Erica.
Yeah.
The dress reminded me a lot of the Forever 21 knockoff that Kylie wore a couple years back, where it was really low cut and it was draped, except a more adult version. Obviously, it was much better made, but it was, did I say much better? It was better made. It was much better made. The pale pink washed her out.
It did.
It looked almost a little wrinkly. It didn't read well.
Yeah.
And then honestly, you could see that she has been experiencing some nights where she is up thinking and worrying and not sleeping.
This is definitely wearing on her.
Yeah.
She just looks like to me, she looks like a different person.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a heavy weight to carry. We still don't know everything. We know that whatever she's going through is very hard for her. She also doesn't have the funds that she used to. I mean, she was $40K a month on Glam.
Totally. And I mean, at this point, even if she had extra funds for it, I mean, those nights where you were up late. Hopefully you don't know many of the nights where you're crying your eyes out, but like you wake up puffy, you wake up.
Yeah, she looked very puffy.
Yeah, and she just looked like she hadn't slept.
You know what? I think a lot of this stress, I mean, I know there's a million other things she's stressed out about, but she has to go on national television where her every single word is going to be dissected.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the night before this reunion, she probably couldn't sleep, even though she has to put on this perception that she's calm, cool, and collected. She knows she's going to be asked the hard questions, and she's got to figure out, like, when you're in that moment, I'm sure it's hard unless you're Kris Jenner. I almost said Kris Kardashian. Yeah. Kris Jenner, who is a mastermind at like PR. It's hard to know how to respond to things, especially when you know these women are out to get you.
Yeah, I mean, she's
Andy.
She's already on the defense.
She is,
and I can only imagine she's probably up late, either with lawyers or with PR people who are telling her what to say, what not to say. We gave her hell for her mascara running. Yeah. So, her eye makeup, which traditionally she has that black rimmed eye.
Very
that gives
sexy look.
Very sexy, very like in control.
Yeah.
It doesn't get like, and she had no eyeliner on underneath. Yeah. You could tell that she was, I mean, even her eyes looked a little bloodshot too. So it was hard to see because I knew that there were going to be a bunch of hot side by side memes.
Yeah.
I know that I've had my opinion about her this season, but I'm still in that line of thinking of I don't like dragging any woman through the mud for their looks because I'm at the age now where I'm aware of like getting older, and it doesn't feel good to have someone tear you apart when you're trying to put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
In the next breath, if we can just talk about her in general, this look, whether it was purposeful or not, I'm glad that she did come in and calm it down.
Yeah, me too. It's better. They're going to talk about this in the coming episodes about her Instagram posts and stuff, which I'm curious to see her thought process on that. But I agree if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll go a little bit more into this. Part one was not what I thought it would be.
Yeah. I think we're starting off. I think they're gradually getting us into it. This. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, you could tell everyone was, like I said earlier, they were all kind of feeling each other out.
Yeah.
The one that really, it was so Garcelle centric this episode. Mm-hmm. So let's first talk about Dorit and that exchange. What were your thoughts on that whole exchange with her?
I did not like how Dorit handled herself, and I think she knows it at this point. There's been Jenny May, I don't know how to say her last name, but she is a co-host with Garcelle on The Real, or on The Real, The Real.
Yeah.
She did not like how Dorit handled Garcelle. I'm sure she's protective of Garcelle, but to tell Garcelle in a very aggressive way to let her finish was, to me, uncalled for. But there were I think that Garcelle and Dorit, they're both not being super direct with each other, and I think Dorit didn't like what Garcelle had to say about her in confessionals. But to me, it's just tit for tat. I think they both need to just grow up and, say what they want to say and let it go. We don't need to harp on anything for too long.
It's kind of now a moot point. I'm like, I got it.
Yeah. Garcelle did like to throw some of those daggers at Dorit. She has But at the end of the day, when you pick fights with people, it's because you want to say something deeper, but these are safer for you to say. So for her to say Dorit talks too much and all this stuff, like she has a bigger problem with Dorit that she doesn't want to talk about.
Yeah.
So she's just kind of, I did notice that a lot.
There was definitely a side step there with Garcelle. But I also think the more important issue, I think Garcelle was more, when someone, I hate to say it, but I don't think Dorit's really on Garcelle's radar as much as Garcelle is on Dorit's. I think Dorit would she gets more upset about it because I actually think Dorit cares more.
I do too.
I really do. And I think Garcelle, it's insulting to Dorit that she's kind of like, you don't really matter to me.
I think so too, because I think actually Dorit is feeling like she has to prove herself a lot.
Yep.
And I think Dorit's very sensitive. She doesn't like it when people are mad at her.
Or dismiss her.
Yeah.
I think that has a lot to say too about, her relationship with PK. Mm-hmm. They really appear to be a very strong front.
Yeah.
But PK's got an opinion.
He does have an opinion.
PK really, I'm sure behind closed doors, PK is not just the cheeky, fun Englishman. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he probably, can be a lot. And Dorit can be a lot too. Yeah. But I think a lot of times women in their friendships, things that might be a little unresolved in their relationships behind closed doors, you may come out more so to where she wants to feel like she has a bigger voice, that she's matching, how much PK can command a room. I think Dorit wants to be able to be that, not just the spouse of PK. And she's really shown, her bossness with her companies.
Yeah.
But you can still see PK's got a little bit of a touch in there.
He does.
So let's talk about the person that really matters to Garcelle. Mm-hmm. I think Rinna really it's like a stinger for Garcelle. I think she misses Rinna, but I also think she's pissed off at Rinna.
Yeah.
And I also think Rinna has a real way of, people want to be Rinna's friend.
Yeah.
And Rinna's a lot of fun. And when Rinna's light shines on you, it feels amazing. It's like your best girlfriend. It's the cool girl who likes you. And when Rinna doesn't like you, oh my goodness. Like she's polite, but she's snippy, Yeah. I don't know. What was your thoughts on that whole exchange between those two?
I think that it's a lot deeper than we see. Yeah. And I think I think you're right. I think in this instance, I don't think Rinna cares as much as Garcelle does. Yeah. Rinna is just like, I think Rinna's annoyed that Garcelle keeps bringing up Denise. Yeah. And I don't think she likes it when anyone tells her what to do. Garcelle bringing that up again with Denise at the last party. I felt like that was bringing up old baggage. You know what I mean? I appreciated her having Denise's back, but Denise is a grown woman. I think Garcelle realized that because she said that in the reunion. She said, I'm not going to bring up Denise ever again. She's a grown woman. Yeah. So I think that's good. Rinna just wants to let it go.
I agree. And I also think, this is, I think, something that all women should think about is if you have a threesome friendship and one exits out or there's conflict, there has to be a decision made, I think, about how you come to terms with if two are going to continue to be friends and two are going to be enemies. Yeah. Because it's hard to have it both ways.
It is.
Without real boundaries and we're not going to talk about this friend. If you're still going to be friends with her, fine.
Totally.
But you also know your friendship can't go that much further.
Yeah.
If you are essentially saying, well, I stopped this friendship with this person because I didn't trust them. Yeah. And for you to trust them, it would place doubt in my head.
Totally. So, I've been in that situation with friends.
Yeah.
And eventually had to end up breaking up with both of those friends.
Yeah.
It's so tough. You're like, how can you be my friend and still I don't know. I think that's very tricky. Do you want to mention something that stood out with me with Dorit and Garcelle? Because Dorit said something like, I don't know if it's you trying to stay relevant. And Garcelle really got sassy. She said, honey, I don't need anything to stay relevant, which I like that she said that.
I do too. I feel like
but that goes to your point though.
Yeah.
Like Dorit cares more about it and she's trying to find meaning behind this. Yeah. And Garcelle's like, that is not it, girl.
There's a lot of these underlying, there's a competitiveness between all the women.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, all of them are married to pretty powerful men aside from Garcelle and Sutton. And these two women are so strong. And it's so interesting how the women who are married really go at these two women who are independent on their own. And, you know, they don't, I haven't really heard too much from Garcelle or Sutton. They don't go for what I would say the mean girl tactic would be of just like, well, you know, your husband, da, da, da. They actually don't talk about the spouses that much. Yeah. And it's funny how, you know, you see the other women kind of bring up the fact of like, you know, Sutton's divorce. And it'll be interesting to see if anyone brings up, you know, Sutton's breakup.
Yeah.
They all, you know, have such great advice for Garcelle. I think it's so important to be able to stand on your own from your husband and respect the relationships that your friends have with their spouses. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But right now, you know, I'm excited to see this next episode. Any predictions of what round 2? Because we've got 4.
I know. I don't know what's going to happen in what order, but
I think Kathy Hilton's receipts will come out.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be serious. Though.
I think it'll be more cheeky and fun, and then I think they're going to drop a big bomb at the end of
next episode
of that, and then the last 2 will be really focused on Erica. And P.S. we did find out that Erica makes $600,000. Where I read it, it made it sound like for the entire season. So that's just something to think about as we listen and see what's coming up.
Which is a lot of money. Like that's so much money to be on a reality show. But for what she was used to, that's
nothing. I mean, again, when we think about $45,000 a month
on glam. But she's still having glam. So I don't know what's going on with that. Last thing I want to touch on is, I mean, she's not very nice. Like she said some things, although this episode wasn't about her, she said some things to the ladies just on the side that was just like, you're mean.
She really has. She was hard anyway.
Yeah.
She is coming to war on this.
She is, but you know what? She's got a lot to deal with. She's on the defensive. There's nothing for her to think positive about. So you got to think about that also. But I think she needs to try for the next few hours while they're filming to just
Take a breath.
Try to take a breath.
Yeah. Well, it was hilarious because Chelsea and I, before we started, were like, we don't know if we have that much to talk about on this episode. But we actually did. Oh, my God. There's
a lot of layers here.
There is, especially with women in friendships. And I think, you know, we both have been, you know, through our friendship and working together, I think we can really relate to a lot of this. Hopefully you related to some of the things Chelsea and I just discussed. If you didn't, please share your opinions. We're always up for a good debate. And we will do it ladylike. But please leave your comments below. Hit the like, subscribe. Can I say the word? And spread the word of the Seraphine podcast and the YouTube channel. We appreciate any and all love. See you guys later. Bye-bye.